Hi, my name is Przemek Chojecki and this video is about GPT-3, another input into the story of why GPT-3 is revolutionizing tech, but not when it comes to algorithms. It's actually revolutionizing tech when it comes to democratic access to technology thanks to its amazing capabilities of transferring human input into machine languages like HTML, CSS, SQL, Python, or even designs and other stuff, which I will discuss also in a minute. This video is based on the article I written for Built-in, and you can see the link down below, so go there if you want to read the whole story. Basically, what I write in this article about is that why GPT-3 is such an amazing tool, even though there's nothing new from the algorithmic perspective. It's still the same transformers that was in GPT-2, but trained on much bigger data set and with much better computing power. So basically, GPT-3 is a 175 billion parameters transformer deep learning model, and if that sounds complicated, then basically it boils down to an algorithm that is taught to predict the next word based on the sentence you input. So after you provide a sentence, the algorithm fills in the gaps, or so for example you can put in the sentence how to successfully use content marketing, and you would get a text on the subject of content marketing. So GPT generally stands for generative pre-training, and the generative part should be clear, so we generate something from the input we provided. Pre-training refers to the fact that actually the model itself was trained on a massive corpus of text before, and its knowledge comes from this pre-training. So actually we don't fine-tune the model, we don't give new data as we go along, and that's the whole goal here. The original paper is called Language Models Are the Few-Shot Learners, which I will also explain in a moment. What is a zero-shot learner, a few-shot learner in the context of this kind of models? What is worth mentioning is that GPT-3 is basically the same architecture as GPT-2 up to some twists, and based the data set that OpenAI has trained the model on is C4 coming from Google, which Google has used in training of the T5 model, which was also at some point the largest model, but GPT-3 basically replaced that and replaced Turing NLG from Microsoft. It's 10 times bigger than those previous models basically, and 100 times bigger than the model that GPT-2 actually. So why it is amazing if it's just coming down to the pure brutal power of more computing machines and pure the amount of data, the volume of data that you're throwing at the model. So basically it comes down to the thing that once you throw enough examples, then the model actually doesn't need to much more fine-tuning, and you don't have to add any more information, any more data, because everything is contained in it, and you can understand everything from zero shooting or few shooting, as we can say. So for example, if you were to translate from English to French, then usually what you would do, you basically take a model, pre-trained model like BERT, and then probably fit a couple of English words together paired with a translation, and based on that you would fine-tune the model. Or for this particular example, you can actually use the BERT model right away. But with GPT-3, even though it wasn't trained on actually translations, it was just trained on predicting this next word, it can do translations by itself because it has seen such a massive volume of text. And basically what you would do is you would input translate English to French cheese, and you would get fromage in French, meaning cheese. And there are other examples like that. So in this example, this is zero-shot learning because we're giving no examples. We just say the comment that we want to have translation of English to French of the word cheese, and that's it. But there's much more you can do. You could, for example, summarize this text for me, and then include the text, provide the text that you want to have a synopsis of. And GPT-3 will understand that you want a summary of the text and give it to you. And there are many more examples like that. And in general, GPT-3 is a few-shot learner, which means that you probably, in some more abstract cases, like for example SQL, HTML, you need to provide a little bit more. So for example, there is an application based on GPT-3 where allows you to transfer simple English into SQL, but by basically writing what you want to have, and it translates right away into SQL. So for example, you could write how many users have signed up since the start of 2020, and the app would give you an SQL code: select count ID from users were created at 2020-0101, which is a correct code, correct SQL code for exactly that, and you could use it on your database right away. And another great app powered by GPT-3 is, for example, creating designs in Figma, creating designs in SCSS, but by basically describing them in English, and you would get the code right away with visualization, which is super efficient and quick way to actually produce designs and applications. And there are plenty of other examples like that, which allows you to translate from simple English into some coding language, even though you might have no idea about this coding language. And if you connect this coding language to the proper compiler, then actually you get something right away. So for example, you get a mock-up version of an app, of a web application. You could get for example, some kind of a search engine through your database, which is much faster and easier. There are really plenty of things like that. And this is basically why GPT-3 is so important here. Because thanks to these properties of being few-shot learner, what it can do is it can democratize the whole technology. And from the perspective of entrepreneurs, developers, and the rest of the people, this means that technology will become even easier. It will be much easier to actually interact with technology, to program something, even though you haven't learned programming, but you have ideas on what you want to implement and how for example, the web application should work. So basically what GPT-3 allows you to do is it allows you to be this interface between your ideas, your thoughts, and the machine that takes in the code and actually uses this code to compile it into like a web application. So it is a perfect for translation from human simple English into more technical languages. And I think that is becoming really interesting when we come forward with new models coming like GPT-3, because I expect, for example, Google to have something and Microsoft have something similar in upcoming months, because those techniques are known. It's more the matter of computing power and the use case to actually make a case for actually using that much of the computing power. So when it comes to democratization of technology, it's super interesting also from the developer's point of view, because they will not, of course, become obsolete, but they will rather be boosted by GPT-3 and similar models and move higher up the stack. So you'll be able to program much quicker and much better communicate with the machine. So communication with the machine is probably the crucial thing of a developer if you look at the meta level, which means that you're trying to put your ideas into code in order for that machine to do something. And the reason for new programming languages that emerge all the time is basically this: to make programming certain tasks easier and smoother, because we have this plethora of tasks we want to program, and some of them are becoming harder and harder to program when we use older languages. So for example, Python is super smooth when it comes to programming machine learning models, especially if you use frameworks like Keras, then really neural networks can be done in a couple lines of code, and that's it. So that's like super efficient way of programming. And with GPT-3, this will happen across all the programming languages, and basically you will be able to program different stuff much faster than before. And also from the perspective of total beginners, people who have like no technical background, this will allow access to this technological revolution to anyone, because basically you won't have to rely on developers to start playing around with these ideas. And basically you won't even have to hire anyone to do the code for you. You basically, if you have ideas, then you can just start communicating with GPT-3 to produce the code for you, which you can then use to have a design, to have stuff like that. So what will happen probably in the next year or two will be you will have plethora of applications which will use part of GPT-3 in order to, for example, give you design right away, or give you a text right away, give you SQL code right away. And then based on that, you will be able to just use these applications in order to produce something amazing, create your own app at almost no cost, in no time, and communicating in simple English as you would communicate with developers. But everything would happen in real time, and you would get your application in real time. So the whole process of building an MVP, minimum viable product, would be simply just a couple of hours instead of weeks or months sometimes, when you have to rely on this communication between you and, for example, the external team if you're a non-technical person. So that's it when it comes to GPT-3. That's what the article is about. I wanted to basically discuss this whole idea that GPT-3 will impact the democratization of technology, and similar models will allow for this better interface between human and the machine, and it will make access to technology much wider spread. So on the machine learning side, there's nothing revolutionary about GPT-3, but because it's so big and because it has access to such a volume of content, it can understand humans as well as machines and become this linking device between the two. So GPT-3 is somehow on a meta level when it comes to communicating with other compilers. So that's it. That's what I wanted to discuss in this video. The link is down below. What I want to say, and the ending note, if you want to play with models similar to GPT-3 right now, you can go to contentize.com. That's a content generation platform that I'm building with my team, and basically we're using a bunch of machine learning models plus different scripts in order to produce content at scale. So the idea is to implement various other models, build the models ourselves, and make writing text as easy as possible. So whenever you work, whether that's media, real estate, e-commerce, you're working in marketing, then it's basically to make writing text much easier, much faster, especially if you're writing, for example, like product descriptions at scale or like real estate descriptions at scale. You can do it all at once in Contentize. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, please leave the like down below, subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next episode.